Your name kicked out of our computer, Mr. Parker. Turns out you may well be suited to a special agency operation.
Am I now?
We're here to test you. If you meet our criteria, you will leave this island today.
But I thought I was crazy.
Are you?
Not crazy enough to get involved in an operation that you want a crazy man for. All right, wait. Give me your freaking test.
I love the way they just slam the things closed and they're walking out the door. It's like, said the wrong thing, man. We're out of here.
Nice. Hello, and welcome to Science Fiction Remnant. I am your host, Robert.
I am your host, Captain Chaos.
Mad Scientist Ray down here in Australia, where it's winter.
And we have a special guest. Did you know?
I'm pretty special. My mom had me tested.
Awesome. We have Jamie from Fave 5 from Fans podcast. And only because we had an amazing conversation in another podcast that we co-hosted for Cam Sully. It was Gio, what was the name of the podcast?
Jacked Up Reviews, which you should go and check too.
Yes, awesome. Cam's a great guy.
So what I'm going to tell you guys is what I normally tell you. We are a long format podcast. Go ahead and pause us. We will be here. Go and search for Fave 5 from Fans. Listen to the latest episode and then come back. We'll be waiting.
I'm going to go get a burger. I'll be right back.
Doesn't work like that.
I'll let everybody know that actually you can just type that.com on a web browser and you can find their website, so you can actually go and check them out in your preferred platforms.
Or you can scan the QR code that is on the screen right now.
It takes a bit for the direction info.
No.
It's always around the other way. So, what have we been watching sci-fi related?
No, I was just going to say before we go into that, Jamie, I want to give.
I remembered. Come on.
give him a cookie.
I had that for breakfast. Sorry.
Oh wow, nice. Before we go into that, I just want to give Jamie a few minutes to explain to our fans what is his show about and where they can find it.
Well, thank you very much for that. So again, the show is called Fave 5 from Fans. It's a show all about favorites. And what does that mean? Well, I usually will invite a guest that has a love for a certain topic. And I will ask them to make a list of their 5 favorites of that topic. For example, we could say Fave 5 science fiction episodes of a particular show. And I'll make a list of mine. They'll make a list of theirs. They're given 2 honorable mentions. Those things can be either something that didn't quite make the list or something so bad / memorable that you needed to take an opportunity to talk about it. And then we sit down blind and compare them 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Have a lot of laughs because it's favorites. There's never any bashing of someone's pick. And it's not about the dreaded T word, top, because top usually means that it's going up against other things, that it made more money or has more awards. And that's not what we're about. It's about what is a favorite reason. Maybe if it's a movie and it was the first one your grandparents took you to, or if it was a TV show that your next door neighbor's sister was in and you got to see, or whatever. So it's a lot of fun. We come out every Friday. You can find us on all the major platforms. We're on videos now on YouTube. I'm doing the TikToks for whatever reason. Nobody wants to see this face, so it's not doing very well. But we have a great time with the show. We have a lot of laughs.
Or something that'll sort you out.
Yeah.
Man, we normies are the new cute.
Yeah. Well, I'm an old cute then. But it's it's a lot of fun, and we get to talk about a lot of things, and there's a lot of smiles on the show because you're talking about something that you love. And I invite people to go and check us out. Again, you can find us at that little QR code, which is so cool, Fave 5 from Fans. You can interact with us on Twitter. It's Fave the number 5 from Fans. Thanks, Elon. And just interact with us. Tell us about some of your favorites. We're always up for a conversation. We're always looking for guests.
So we've got the QR code here on the screen right now for those who are watching a month after release on YouTube. But of course, you'll also find it down in the show notes for the pod. So check it out there, and you'll get there a month earlier.
And if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, what are you waiting for? You're missing out on all Chaos's shenanigans.
Oh yeah, he's been having all sorts of fun at our expense.
Oh,
It has to pay the price, right?
yeah.
Oh yes.
And I do have to mention, since we're talking about YouTube, thank you so much to all the new subscribers and the interaction that we are having on the channel. We really, really appreciate it, and we're glad that you're enjoying it because it is a lot of fun for us to create it. So thank you for that. And what was the question that
I've forgotten now. It was so long ago. I don't... what science fiction properties have you guys been into this week?
You cannot forget, because what Robert's about to say is his ritual. It's a ritual now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Go on, Robert.
Are you ready? This is going to be shocking. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've braced myself.
Okay, it's a good thing, right? Yes, I'm watching Lower Decks right now. We're in season 2.
Ooh,
Star
good
Trek
show.
Lower Decks. So for all of you other who actually have followed our show, this was a rewatch that I created for my wife. And I think I just created a monster because now I just want to watch anime and all we can watch is Star Trek. But anyways, Lower Decks was the initial. That was the gateway drug. So she would love that show. But the problem that we have is, I mean, that Lower Decks is about 25 minutes each episode. It would turn out to be an hour because I would pause it and find references to Star Trek. And if you watch Lower Decks, there's a lot of Star Trek references. So she got annoyed.
Every week is Easter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So many Easter eggs.
She got annoyed and she said, well, what can we do to fix that? It's like, I proposed it kind of like, I wasn't expecting much. It's like, you could watch it in timeline order. And she said, yeah, let's do that. And that's what we
You
did.
can watch 50-something years of Star Trek. Yeah, no
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she watched it all the way from TOS. And
What are you
we're
going to do next week?
Huh?
What are you going to do next week? It only take a week.
And to add to that, I think I got her addicted to Kaiju number 8. So we're watching that as well.
Nice.
Interesting.
Kaiju number 8 is awesome.
Yes.
I read ahead in the manga because I just couldn't wait, and you ain't seen nothing yet. Holy mackerel, it's a good story.
Nice.
So, do you include the original animated DOS in this rewatch?
Oh, I have to.
Okay, then.
It is a must. And
Yes, it
for all
is.
of you out there who are that are listening to our show right now and have not seen it,
Find it.
go find it. Go.
Mhm. Yeah, it's got just so many. Well, Doolin, for one, takes on so many roles, and he does an amazing job of it. But they also opened it up to sci-fi writers at the time, and you've got so many interesting different ways. And you see, Captain or Admiral April, and you see Spock as a kaiju. I mean, it's a great series. A lot of fun. Get you a bowl of cereal with some marshmallows in it and just sit and watch it.
Don't expect too much as far as animation is concerned. It's
it's
the mouth and one arm moves, and that's about all you get.
and the music may be somewhat repetitious.
Really?
a little bit.
I remember playing this Star Wars game back in the very early days of games on CD-ROMs.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those blended video plus gaming. Like you could, it was a game where there was sort of a video that was playing. Depending on what you did with the controls, it would change what happened in the video.
Oh.
And it had the same, like it was that attack music. Remember the scene in Star Wars, the original Star Wars, where they're escaping the Death Star and the TIE fighters are attacking the Millennium Falcon?
Never saw it.
You know, dun 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 dun. And that music would be on repeat, and you're flying around in an X-wing around a Star Destroyer, trying to take out the gun ports and stuff before you're allowed to destroy it. And you had to get them all, and if you didn't get them all, you had to go around again and again and again. And there was this one that was really freaking hard to get, and I heard that music so often it was in my dreams. Oh my god! So don't talk to me about science fiction repetition music. I've been there. I've been in that hell.
Oh, awesome! So,
James, have you been watching any sci-fi lately?
Well, I haven't been watching a lot of sci-fi. Excuse me, I haven't been watching a lot of stuff. Though I did pick up something that I was very happy with. I'm all into physical media and tried to reclaim some of my lost. So I picked up the 2 double set of the what a good show. I remember as a kid sitting and watching this on NBC and just being like, wow, the whole time. So I picked up this really awesome set at a garage sale, and I got a couple of other things, but this was by far the best. I mean, I don't know if you could see it, but I mean, it's almost just picture perfect.
Oh, nice.
Just love it. Yeah. So that's my sci-fi haul part 1. And then my other sci-fi haul, and I haven't even started cracking it yet, is a new book or not a new book, but Dead Silence from S.A. Barnes. And it's a kind of a sci-fi horror ghost ship that my friend Jay Hall from the Okie Bookcast suggested that I get. So I only read at night in bed, but it's when I take my contacts out, because the contacts that make you see so well make you horribly see other things. So I sit down, and so that's going to be, I'm actually going to Heroes Con this week. So I'm going to bring that with me and probably finish that off this week. So that is the width and breadth of my sci-fi for the last week.
Well, you like horror, and you're telling me that you read right before bed. Is that so you can try to get some nightmares?
Okay, so seriously, since I was in junior high school, I have practiced in my dreams to make things happen. Nice. And so no in that answer, exactly. So no in that matter, but in other matters, when I'm waking up, if I can't, and I've had horrific dreams before. I used to be a writer, and so I'd get up and I'd have notes and I'd write down and I'd turn them into stories. Don't do that anymore, but no. Anyway,
in other words, you just try to get the whole Stephen King's experience.
Exactly. If only I could get Stephen King's money.
Yeah, Gio, I have to say that a nightmare is only a matter of perspective. It depends what bothers you.
Yeah, good or bad is really
things that I used to call nightmares when I was a kid. Now I call Tuesday.
In the same breath, nightmares that I might have could be Disneyland for Gio. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
exactly.
Nice.
What have you been watching, Ray?
Yeah.
Me? Holy crap! I get to go next, not last. There you go. So and now I feel proud that I have addicted both of these guys to anime. When I came on the show, they didn't watch anime at all, and I said, "You got to watch this. You got to watch this. You got to watch this." Now Gio sits down with me about once a month and goes, "Have you watched this one, Ray? Have you watched this one? Have you watched this one?" I'm like, "Watch that. Watch that. Don't watch that. Don't waste your time." That one's gory. He's like top of the list.
I gotta invite our listeners. If you are not in Discord, you gotta join. There's a conversation that you got. Well, should I say conversation or fight?
Hey! Look, Gio and I might fight verbally a little bit. We spar about certain characters
It's
in
a
certain
banter.
anime, but then
It's just a
he
banter.
DMs me at 2 a.m. my time, which is the daytime for you guys, and he's like throwing a few eggs at Eris, and like I go, oh no, Eris, she's all right compared to Eleanor Lee's, and then I just go on a rant, and he's like, wow, you hate Eleanor Lee more than I hate Eris. I'm going, I pretty much convinced him too.
Oh God! So that's what
These are Mushiko Tensei characters.
that's
Yeah,
the
I
kind
should
of
be
stuff
going
you
to the
do.
light novels now.
Yeah, I've got him on the light novels. I told him just read ahead. You'll be waiting for.
I'm already in chapter
years.
5 of volume 13.
Oh wow, that was fast.
There's
made it
26 volumes.
How
I
many?
made it
26.
and
Ooh.
counting, right?
Between the 26 volumes of the main story, the side stories, and the prequel, which is basically how the world came to be the way it is, with gods and all sorts of shit going on, there's over 1 million words.
Let me put it this
Wow.
way.
In
Mushoku Tensei to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, Ray, it's like the isekai anime version of Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's
You-
how
uh,
extensive it is and how vast.
Oh, but you haven't read the prequel yet. You haven't read the forming of the world. I read that and I went, God, this guy's thought a long way ahead. I mean, you haven't even read what Orsted's up to yet. That's like mind blowing.
Not even.
You got lots of good stuff yet.
Gladly, I love spoilers. Sometimes Ray is scared is gonna mess it up, and I have to beg him for them.
Yeah, he begs me for spoilers. He's the very opposite of 99% of everyone else.
Yeah, no, it just fuels me because even when you give me the spoiler, it doesn't tell me how we got there. So I still want to read, and it just gives me, it just fuels more that aha moment, or so this is why and how.
Put it all together. Yeah. So I'm also watching Kaiju number 8 because it's awesome. And last night, before I started watching what we're covering today, I checked out Atlas with J-Lo on Netflix. Holy moly. I can't believe it's been so ragged. I mean, all the scores are really low for it. But like, I thought it was really good. It had lots of emotion. I did a Robert a couple of times near the end there. It got to me. I really liked it, and it was slick. It had lots of good action. It had lots of good moments of like tension and emotion. There was 2 somewhat strange inaccuracies, I thought, in the science, which I'm still waiting for Gio to watch so I can see if he picks them up. But other than that, I thought it was really well made, and I'm giving it like 9 out of 10. I thought it was really good.
And we are.
So I don't understand why they're ragging it just because J-Lo's in it, maybe, or something. I don't know.
I think that's why.
Sometimes you get an actress or an actor that the everybody loves to hate, so they just rag on it just for that. And as a story, it's good. The special effects are awesome. When the ship's being attacked, holy mackerel! I had to go back and watch it 3 times to try and catch everything that was going on. It was really good. Highly recommend it.
Nice. Yeah, we're covering.
And we are covering it.
Yes,
we already have a stub, so we're going to cover it.
Oh yeah, I made the board right away.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it's on my list.
Yeah, check it out. It's worth it. What about you, Mr. Chaos? What have you been doing in science
we're
fiction?
trying to find out.
I feel bad to say Kaiju number 8 already.
I
feel like I'm plagiarizing your list now. But besides that,
is futile.
I've been watching Scavenger's Reign. I don't know if you guys watched it. It's amazing. It's in HBO Max. It's an animated series about people that are trying to find life in other planets. It's very interesting. I definitely suggest that if you like sci-fi, it has a beautiful design. I'm also watching. Started watching. I never watched it before. Invincible, which I would
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched The Boys, but I've watched trailers and bits, and it feels like it's like The Boys. It's like X-Men, but with a bigger touch of realism. So I really liked it. I watched like 5 episodes back to back, and it's amazing. It's super
Yeah.
loaded. I don't know if it's Robert Wood.
It's not Robert Safe.
I'm not sure. I mean, if you don't mind the
Is
gore,
anything Robert safe these days?
you don't mind the gore, which I kind of love. I think that
Yeah.
Jamie and I are gonna relate a lot into that. I love gore.
God, man, I love Invincible, and it blows my mind to think that Kirkman was writing Invincible at the same time that he was writing Walking Dead, and putting
Yeah.
both of those out at the same time. Both of them had 150 plus issues. It's a phenomenal comic.
Yep.
Oh, we lost your audio.
Mine?
Oh,
There
there we
you are.
That's right.
You said
Something
it's a
keeps.
phenomenal comic.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal comic. Again, it was the fact that Kirkman was writing it and The Walking Dead at the same time. Just blows my mind. It's just, and they've done a great job of bringing it to the screen.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I like The Walking Dead. I actually started reading the comics with the series, and then I stopped the series by season 4, I think, when they're in the jail escaping because it
Mhm.
completely tore from the comics.
Yeah,
I actually bought the physical comics. I would venture or be so bold to say that Kirk is one of the most influential comic writers of this era.
yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that. He is just he knows how to lay story out and set up things to happen. One of my favorite things in Invincible is in I think it's the very first issue, when the person that you're looking at who is gaining his powers, he goes out and of course I want to say Steven. I can't think of his name right now, but he finally get a thing of garbage, and it like goes into outer space, and he's finally got his powers, and then probably 10 or 12 issues later it comes back down to the ground, and it's like, where did this garbage come from? And then you remember where it was.
I think that that's one of the signature moves of Kirkman is he has an ability to make you grow attached to characters, and then he just rips them away from you. He
He
brings them
does.
I don't know. It's mayhem. Like mayhem's coming. You just know when it's gonna come, and it's gonna hit
Right.
you. And that's one of the things I love the most about it. For real.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've been playing that is actually sci-fi is Dead Space, the remastered version. Whenever I want to just scare myself to death by playing something, it's creepy, man, because it's like you're shooting
Jump
at
scares much?
things. Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Big
Oh,
crab.
And the problem with Dead Space is that it's quiet as hell, and then you have just the thugs happening somewhere, and everything is dark. Everything you can see is where your flashlight is going. So
Mhm.
it's kind of freaky. Gears of War 5.
it's not.
And no, it's not. Trust me. Your heart rate is gonna be like your Apple Watch might call emergency without you knowing.
When his Apple Watch explodes on his wrist, you know that he's in trouble.
You have the firefighters at your front door. We had a 911 from an Apple Watch here. Somebody's arrived. And I also
Why have all these ambulances shown up outside of Robert's house? I was playing Dead Space again.
I also been playing some Gears of War 5 and my so old belovable Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah,
Mm.
must.
Wow.
It's a staple.
If I could jump in, did you see, Chaos, that they are coming out with The Thing remastered from the original game a while back?
The
did
Thing
y'all-
or Silent Hills?
No, The Thing. I
Oh,
just saw it this week. So They are going back and they've remastered it for the PC, and you can get it on stream. And I don't know if you guys ever played that game back in the day. I mean, this was like maybe the 90s, but it's all involved around the John Carpenter's The Thing movie from 82. And one of the things about it is like what you were saying, is that there are points where you can only see what's in your flashlight. You can't hear, but you hear these things far away. And the coolest thing about it is it has a meter that it's a paranoia meter.
Oh,
And one of the things of the game is you cannot get too paranoid or you lose. Not just staying alive and staying away from the creatures and stuff. So they just released a trailer this week. So if you like that kind of gaming, I would tell you definitely check it out. I think it's probably going to be the first game I buy in 15 years.
I'm gonna try it out. To be honest, the last thing that I tried of The Thing, I have an Oculus Quest, and I did actually. They have the Thing kind of an experience.
Really?
Everything you can do is just look around. The camera moves alone, but basically, like walking down a lone street, you look at that fucker under the drain, and then you go into the drain and you're trying to follow him, but you just see his shadow going forward all the time until it just
Wow.
Why would
That's
you
cool.
go into the drain? That's just like. Bzz,
Well, they have balloons down there. I mean, that's,
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
They have balloons at Kmart. Come on. I know it's not that much safer than the drain, but it's
No, it's not.
Nice. Okay, so is our cue to move on to the next segment?
Yes, sir.
In sci-fi.
And that is not the segment.
Whew. Oh man, I thought we jumped forward in time.
Well, I didn't do it this time, Robert. Huh?
It wasn't chaos this time. It was me.
That's a short show for us. 30 minutes.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody.
They're talking about anxiety. They're talking about anxiety got you so bad, Robert.
Maybe it's all the talk about the thing, I don't know.
He's out of here. He's booking it.
We are Science Fiction Remnant.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorats.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is SciFi.
And if you're new to the show, this is a segment where we highlight the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. If you're new to the show, you also might not know that this is a hashtag that we decided to create because we wanted to form a way where all IPs for all multiple different medias of sci-fi conjoined. And the reason for this was at the beginning, I would go in to social media and I find, the community for Star Trek. I would find a community for Star Wars, and it's okay, it's all right. I still to this day I go to those communities online, but I remember wishing there was a way where you can find a community that follows everything that is to sci-fi as a whole, because and I'm not alone here. As you, if you are new to the show, you might not know that all the hosts here has a wide range of likes within sci-fi. We love so much sci-fi, so many different IPs, so many different mediums, that this would be very convenient. So if you are a creator, if you are a fan of sci-fi, I invite you to follow and post your post with the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. There's a couple of reasons why you want to do that. Number one is if you're a creator, you have that one thing that you're very passionate about. Same thing if you're a fan, you have that one thing, that one sci-fi love that you can't stop talking about, just like we do. And you want to post things about that one thing that you love or about that one thing that you created. And you could either find people that has that have seen that thing or that have experienced that sci-fi, and right there you gain conversation, which is what we enjoy having, or talking to people, like-minded individuals that have like the things that you do like. The other thing that I have seen, which I'm really happy to see as a byproduct of the hashtag, is I've seen people that they either hate that one thing you posted about, they don't have any interest about that one thing, or they have never heard of that one thing that you posted about. But because you posted that with your passion, the passion that you have for that one thing you love the most, that piqued their interest enough that they were able to watch at least the pilot or the very first thing that was published about that one thing that you posted about. And I've seen new fans because of that. So, if you're a writer, if you create short films, if you create, books, movies, whatever it is, I invite you over to, all you got to do is just add a hashtag to your post. You're not doing anything other differently. Also, another way that you can join the conversation is we do have a Discord channel. So you can join it. And there are so many channels in there on our Discord server that I find it very hard to believe that that one thing you love doesn't already have a channel. However, I invite you over to come on and see. If we don't have the thing that you like, let me know and we can make it a thing. And we do have a headline, and that headline is 1-305-563-6334. You can call in, leave your messages. You can leave a message about previous episodes that you have heard or episodes that you like us to do. You can leave messages for the host. You can leave hate mail for Captain Chaos, which he's still waiting for them. And you could be played on the next episode. And we do have a voicemail. We have a voicemail. So I'm going to go ahead and play it right now.
Hi guys, this is James Allocca, author of Black Saucer, Descendants of Craig, and Star Cops. I just want to thank you so much for the shout out. I really appreciate it. I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of your show. Really love it. The last episode was fantastic. And once again, just wanted to thank you for the shout out. Have a good day.
Awesome. And thank you so much. James is very involved in our socials. We really appreciate that, and we're really happy that you are enjoying our episodes. That just makes us very happy. For all of you out there who want to know more about James Allocca, there is a QR code. That if you are watching our YouTube channel a month after it releases the podcast, you can just scan it. Or if you're listening to the pod, there will be a link in the description. So, any experience you guys want to add to the This Is Sci-Fi hashtag?
Well, I actually got to connect with a few people and talk about one of the recent ones that we recorded, Elysium, just using that. This is sci-fi hashtag. And like I like to tell everybody, if you want to reach out to the community, that's the perfect thing. And hashtag do work because thanks to make Robert watch Babylon 5 hashtag, Robert watched Babylon 5. So they do work.
Took it a year and a half, but we got there.
Hey, it happened, right?
You had to squeeze it in around Star Trek, didn't you, Robert?
Yes, I had to. It was a great conversation. So yeah, hashtag make Robert watch Babylon 5. It's in the past now. So thank you.
Right, we're gonna have to come up with a new hashtag for Robert.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah, there's what is that? Make Robert watch
Life Force.
Yes.
Oh,
That is a great movie. Oh my god.
Ray and I have a joke
We
with that movie.
we have a hate relationship with that movie at the moment.
Kurt.
We've tried to record it 4 times now.
Oh,
Well, actually, we did record it, and
Yeah.
then it fell off the storage before Robert picked it up.
Yeah.
ah,
Yes. So that's why I said it's cursed. We recorded, we had audio, we lost it. And
Hey, I don't know if you believe in destiny, but maybe you're destined to be part of that episode. Ray.
Oh,
I l- space vampires. Come on.
nice.
I just want to see Robert's reaction. I want to actually be there and watch his face when his favorite captain, Jean-Luc Picard,
I was just.
the blood sucked out of his face.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the kiss. You know, that
Oh,
would
no,
be.
we're used to that. That's
Yeah,
between him and Gandalf, you know.
that's true.
Oh my god!
But it is not Robert safe.
I think that
What is safe? Come on, what is actually safe?
he's very ambiguous with that because he's not Robert safe, but then he likes aliens. He loves
Oh.
the Horizon.
Event
So-
Horizon. Yeah.
Event Horizon. Yeah, then you would love this movie.
Yeah, I
Plus-
think
Boobs.
great screen time, man.
Boobs.
They saved a lot on costumes. I got to say.
Oh yes, they did.
Oh yeah.
We got our new hashtag. It's running across the bottom of the screen for those watching on.
Oh boy, you guys work fast. Oh wow. Okay, so if anybody else wants to add anything else, then we can move on to the next segment.
Let's do this.
And let's make sure I don't press the same button again.
We call it the cosmic time loop.
For these shout outs, I'm going to start with our some of our Instagram actually followers and collaborators. Dear Nikki, and you should go if you're over 18. It's non safe for work. I'm going to let you know beforehand, but go and check her out. You can find her with the tag D Nikki with 2 K's and a Y 162. Dear Nikki. Check her out. She does adult content. She reads mails from fans and gives stories. She's wonderful. We had her recently in one of the most recent release that we had, Galaxina.
Yeah,
And
and
we
Gio
hope to
loves
have her
that movie.
soon. Huh?
And Gio loves that movie.
Oh yeah, fantastic! Can't wait to have my Galaxina here. No, I'm probably gonna get a Cherry 2000.
Okay.
The quote we did for Galaxina was so good that you made it a short.
Oh yes, it's epic. So if you guys had not listened to that episode, listen to the beginning of that episode. It was we were containing the laughter so badly.
The upside was the quote. The downside is you have to spend the time watching the movie. It's
It's a good thing. It's thinking not. Next one, actually, Mo Gilla is a personal friend of mine that has actually started to follow us. He does also kind of like a interview random questions while you're playing with him, something that he likes. We did Call of Duty, if I'm not mistaken, when I was with them. But he's pretty fun guy, very laid back. He loves all sci-fi things too. Go and check him out. In our Discord community, I'm gonna give a special shout out to JJ Hunsecker, always keeping the party lit over there. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. And on X, which I'm still gonna call Twitter. Sorry, Elon Musk. I want to give a special shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers that actually has collaborated with us. He's on our Discord. Deeds with Space. No, let me see. Space Castle.
Space Castle.
And go check him out. I like to watch him on YouTube, but he's in all platforms. So go and check him out. You can find him on X by Space Castle Show. And also, I wanted to give a special shout out to Spaceships. And you can find their tag Spaceships Pod. It's a sci-fi comedy with sentient spaceship investigating the sudden die off of all species in the galaxy. It's a funny twist, and it's interesting to watch.
It's
I really
so
like.
funny. So funny. I love it.
And that will be all for today's shout out. But before we move to the next segment, I want to remember everybody, if you like, go ahead and click that subscribe button, share and like, and leave us a comment and whichever you like. I would suggest, like we always do, go and pick something from our catalog that you have previously seen. It will make more sense than watching an episode of something you haven't. And we'll go ahead and answer your comments. Pick a fight with me. I love it.
Yeah, pick a fight with him so I don't have to. It's always
the funny thing is that Ray and I are always in that fight. But I just realized we both hate characters.
Well, should I mention that Ahsoka episode? Should I
Oh,
clear the pot?
I'll tell you something. The fight that Ray and I have now going on about the character that I hate and he hates, I think that he has made me appreciate Sabine a little bit more.
Yeah, we're Sabine.
That's how bad this character is that I dislike her. That I think that she sucks some of the hatred from Sabine. Took it for herself.
He's led me to the dark side. I'm half Sith now.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you want,
it is really good to have someone who's reading the Mushiko Tensei novels. I waited a year and a half for somebody to get on to read those that I can discuss it with. And Gio is very opinionated, which makes the conversation more interesting.
Oh yeah.
And Gio, what was the name of that?
What your fault, Ray?
What is the name of that girl that left him to rot? What was the name?
Eris. Boreas.
I'm going to go on the record and say I hate her with the passion of my son.
Another one.
Oh yeah, just going to go.
If you're looking for someone to hate in that story, Robert, let me introduce you to Ellen Elise. I will explain it to you like I explained it to Gio.
Yep.
However, if you know,
I think that Robert's hatred is motivated the same way that mine, because so far I haven't seen Elena Lee's shitty decision and what do you call meddling affect Rudy the way that Ares stupidity. But that's why I like to refer to her like people in Mushoku Tensei world know her, Mac Dog Ares.
And I feel I need to explain myself because I typically don't say stuff like that. So the fact that I just said it, that might mean something. So just want to leave that there.
Well, going on a poll of you guys, Eris is the enemy of all men. Jesus Christ.
So if that is it, I think there's a segment that we got to go to.
There's a segment.
I can't remember. What was that segment?
The robot lady thingy.
I think.
I'm gonna kill you.
That's a cool robot.
Cyborg. Jesus.
I think I remember. It is
The Elite Army News.
This is Ray defending Alita.
Oh my God, no! And I just died.
I resemble that comment.
Okay,
you can stop me screaming now. Okay, so anybody who's a regular listener to the show and has listened to this segment doesn't just fast forward through it. I generally let you know what's happening on Radio Chaos, which is the Alita Army live stream, which happens. Well, basically, we pitch it at 9 p.m. GMT. And you know that varies all over the world depending on what your time zone is, because time zones suck. But it's 9 p.m. GMT because it's mid-afternoon in the US. It's early morning, and I mean early morning, like 7 a.m. Sunday morning in Australia, and it's like 11 p.m. over in England and Europe. So basically, we're trying to catch as many regular time zones of the fandom as we can. So it's a very international show. with people all over the world coming together with their love of the character of Alita from the movie Alita Battle Angel 2019 and the source manga known in Japan as Gumu, or in the West as Alita Battle Angel. It is cyberpunk, dark future, lots of cyborgs, lots of action. It's quite violent, so that's what got Geo in. And they skirted the line with the movie. It's PG-13, but that's because a lot of the blood is blue because it's cyber blood, so they got around that on that day. I'm not sure on other days they would have, but they did when it was put up against the ratings board on that particular day. They're in a good mood, but they got it through anyway. There's a lot of issues around the movie to do with the merger between 20th Century Fox and Disney, and it is massively underrated. It's a very good movie. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It gets 10 out of 10 for me. It's my favorite movie of all time. I've watched it over 50 times now, and I'm always finding something new because it's one of those really deep, finely woven plots. We've got whole episodes of the live stream where we discuss plot points and how everything in the last third of the movie has actually been either foreshadowed or there's been something related to it shown beforehand, and it all just comes together in the end. It's brilliantly written. We've actually interviewed one of the writers for it, Leda Kalogridis. We have an interview with her back a couple of years ago now. She was fantastic. We've had a bunch of other people to do with the movie that we've interviewed, and we're still hunting for the big guns, but we haven't got a hold of them yet. But once they get around to announcing a sequel, maybe we'll be able to get a hold of them. But at this point, we're up to episode 217, so we've been going for a while. And this week it was the physics of Alita's antimatter microreactor heart. Now, you might look at that and go, now there's a subject. We don't have in real life yet that we know of. The governments out there might be keeping it hidden, but we don't have antimatter reactors, let alone micro ones that fit inside a person's chest. But Creaky Sensei, as I called him for this one, he put together a PowerPoint slide based on his understanding of physics, it was really.
He's a bodybuilder. He knows about physics.
Oh yeah, he does. But he used to study physics at university, so. He gave us a rundown of how it's proposed that it would work, to the point of, what is matter, what is antimatter, how combining them would release energy, how much energy would you get from a teaspoonful of matter and antimatter combined, and all this sort of thing. So, it was an interesting talk, and I highly recommend it. It's available on YouTube right now on the Alita Army channel, which is episode 217, the physics of Alita's antimatter microreactor heart. So check that one out if you're at all into physics and the possibility of antimatter reactors, which of course all Star Trek fans should be, because that's what they use for their spaceships.
Yep. This is not the science. This is not the science in sci-fi, but don't you think that maybe CERN knows something about antimatter by now?
Well, if you've watched Steingate, you know just how evil CERN is. So yes, of course.
Yes, I know that. I know. I didn't
we
want to.
We have an episode of Steins Gate as well.
I didn't want to bring my conspiracy hat in here, but
your 150-gallon hat. So a 10-gallon hat. He's gone.
Awesome.
Well, I have a Squirtle. I have a Squirtle here for the water, so I can have plenty of gallons.
And moving on, should we go to the next segment?
Yeah, well, it's the main show recording, so I don't think you actually have a linker for that one.
But do we have a plot?
I have a plot. I dug it out of the depths of Wikipedia. Wikipedia, what a great place it is. I mean, if you can trust the information, there's lots of it there.
Yeah.
I hate that I cannot just go there and mess around with what's uploaded anymore.
You could create a
See,
Captain Chaos page.
Yeah,
yeah,
I need to.
yeah. We should create a podcast page and get Geo to update it, and he'll just write all sorts of weird
Are
shit.
you sure you want that, Ray?
Of course I do. Of course I
Okay.
do. I need more chaos.
His words. I'll manage.
Yeah, it's on my heart. Okay, so in case you haven't caught it this week, we're covering 7 days. It was sci-fi kind of crossed with a sort of a cop show. Well, sort of a cop show. It had cop show vibes, but it was more sort of a secret military operation crossed with a little bit of sci-fi there. Time travel was involved, so of course that's where the sci-fi comes in. But the pilot, and it was really funny. I'm talking to Gio last night. I said, "Oh, I'm watching the second part." He's going, "What second part?" I said, "It's over 2 parts, dude. It's like a 2-part pilot. They do that, you know." And he's like, "No. I'm only up for 50 minutes. I'm not going to see further." Time travel in the first 50 minutes. Come on, you got to keep going. And I don't know.
Episode 1 on our notes, so I was like fixated, like it's just one episode. Then Ray showed it to me, like, oh shit, yes, they divided too.
Well, but what made it worse for him was that I spent 100 minutes watching because somehow my VPN managed to block the ads, but he got all the ads every 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Yep.
Wow.
We also had a lot of fun trying to read the subs backwards at high speed because they popped up so fast.
Okay, Jamie,
and it was reflected.
Don't hate me for this, Jamie, but because it was backward and the subtitles were cut in half of it, every time that there were Russian guys talking,
yes,
my brain just kind of like changed whatever was backwards and there for foreign language bad guys.
There you go.
I just went. They said something. I just thought, oh yeah, they're going to make things worse. Okay, that's all I do.
It didn't change my understanding of what was going on at all, which was good.
I just asked my wife what they were saying. That's all I did.
I didn't know she spoke Russian.
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
I wonder if it was Russian.
Right, so it doesn't matter.
And that 480p was a blast. Took me back. Why is everybody blurry? Oh, right. I just got new glasses. Why are they blurry?
Nice.
Oh dear.
You know, I feel like I have to explain that, right? This is a show that it's not streaming anywhere. So I just want to say that out there for you out there who are listening to the episode. Typically, we try to find something that is currently streaming or something that I can buy. This was from 1998, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So the only way that you could find this show is, at least for me, unless Jamie, you have a different way, is I found the DVDs on Amazon, and I think I'm going to end up buying them because my wife was interested on watching the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So that's the only place that I can find it so far. Now, if anybody out there are listening and they have a streaming way, because my preferred medium is digital, please let me know.
So honestly, I converted all of, because I recorded these back on VHS back in the day. Yeah. So I transferred all of those digitally years ago. So I didn't even go out and look, though I did see it on the Daily Motion, I think is a website that had the first two.
They're reflected though, so the subtitles are backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we watched it. It's in the
okay. So when you said that you would look forward to get on Amazon, is that an official release?
No, it's it's the box set. They had the entire thing, and it was I think it was $45 for the entire thing. And I missed something, I guess.
Yeah, I'm missing one or two episodes, but that's okay.
What you missed when we're talking about it being the backwards thing, you know.
Oh,
So
oh no.
He's literally flipping out.
Yeah, so if you are listening to the show, you might not know what's going on, but if you're watching the YouTube, you can see how our very own Captain Chaos likes to bring the chaos to the show. He is actually
Oh, yeah.
flipping his video feed.
Yeah, I presume that they flipped it to try and avoid censorship
Mhm.
when they
perhaps,
whoever uploaded
Yeah.
it there.
Possibly.
But there's so much writing up on the screen; it's all backwards, and I'm like, "Ow, this hurts my head." Where's a mirror?
Yeah.
Anyway, so there is actually a wiki. There were actually 66 episodes of this show over 3 seasons, so it lasted longer than Firefly. So
Yeah.
it must have had some support. That's all I can say.
Nice.
I never saw it on its original run.
Mhm.
I don't know that it even made it down here to Australia, but anyway. So the pilot, they just called it pilot, which is fair because there's a guy flying a plane into the White House, so you could call it pilot and it would be accurate.
Right.
It is a two-parter, so it's like 100 minutes worth. Plus ads for Geo, not for me. Oh, dear. So anyway, a Chechen Marxist dissident group led by Karl Pretsanov, that's really important, you should have to remember, that'll be on the test, successfully attacks the White House during a US-Russia summit, killing the US and Russian presidents and the US vice president. A cloud of cyanide gas is released due to the attack, enveloping a 10-block radius, killing Parker's son, among others. Franklin B. Parker is released from a CIA mental institution and brought on board the NSA's Project Backstep, a group with the ability to send a person back in time, 7 days. After a successful backstep and using intelligence from before, Parker stops the terrorist attack. Now, it's a very short summary. It kind of leaves out many important points.
And it switches up some of the timeline, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The important point, like one of the guys really hates Parker, and tries to shoot him dead while he's trying to go back in time, and has to be shot down. Yeah, that was pretty full.
Yeah.
And of course, Parker discovering that his son was dead, watching the news and flipping out in his luxury apartment.
Yeah.
In the mental institution.
I loved that scene because Nick Searcy, the actor who is the guy who hates him, he's so smug. I mean, he's hyped up on stimulants because he's trying to stay awake this whole time. He thinks he's so smug as because he hates Parker, and look at it. This is who you're going to send, and then they're able to back up the video and see that on the screen Parker is seeing his son who's dead. I thought that was a great scene, and it leads into so many more.
Yeah, and this is a show back in the 90s where you could be a sleazy bastard and get away with it on screen. So Parker is a sleazy bastard. He's hitting on the scientist chick, and then he goes back in time and says, "Hey, in the future, we're just about getting it on." And she's like, "Well, that timeline's gone, buddy. You've lost your chance."
Let me tell you about a little movie called The Butterfly Effect.
When that happened, the first thing that came to mind was there are unchangeable points in parallel worlds. That theory where it doesn't matter how many times you try to change them, they are fixated events in time.
Yeah.
And I think that he thought or knew some way that she was one of them.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Exactly.
Technical term.
Exactly. It's scientific. So
yeah, sure.
Scientific.
And you can buy the shirt, by the way. So I guess we're at the point of the show where I asked the very first question. And the question is, how old were you when you watched this for the first time? And what was your very first impression? Now, this is interesting for this episode for us to respond, only because I was 2 days old when I watched this, and I am assuming that is the case for very own Captain Chaos and our mad scientist here. So, what I like to do is I want to switch it up a little bit. Jamie, I like you to go last only so our responses don't get influenced.
Sure.
I'm assuming you have watched this many years ago. So we'll take a turn and then you go ahead and answer the question last. Should I go first, you guys, or
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, go on.
I watched this today, prior to the recording, and there's a couple of things that I could say. First off, is I want to thank Jamie for the nostalgic trip because the episode that I watched was aired or was recorded from Spike TV. And Spike TV, if you are not familiar with it, it was a television channel dedicated for men's programming that I used to watch a lot. Exactly. Just like that. Now
Banana.
Welcome to the testosterone channel.
Robert showed me the commercial, and I was like, America. Heck yeah.
Hell yeah!
the commercial, it was literally just guns, explosions, and chicks. That's it.
Yeah.
And I remember those type of commercials.
I
And
need
then
a beer now.
that is just one of the commercials. There's like multiple commercials that I remember watching back in the day. So that's why I'm saying thank you for the nostalgic trip, because I remember that. I don't think that channel could ever come back, obviously.
Oh God, no.
It's so dated. But that leads me to another question. Because of the fact that I used to watch Spike TV for so much other programming, I wonder, why is it only today that I watched this TV show? It was really good, and I can't understand why I missed it. It just doesn't make sense to me. But it's
I know why.
it was there's a couple, and we'll get into the conversation, about these topics within the conversation shortly. But this has some unique scientific explanations to do about time travel that are not the norm in time travel movies, and is very refreshing, and is very well. It's as accurate as it could be, but in a way that they put it, it's shocking to me that not many other movies or TV shows actually took a page from this TV show in
So
explaining
basically, what you're telling me is they actually had a science advisor who knew physics.
possibly. It makes sense based on that explanation that I have, but we'll get into that later.
Well, they didn't Google it because in '98
Google.
there wasn't much to Google.
No, they Yahoo it.
No, and Yahoo didn't
Ask Jeeves.
ask Jeeves.
No, they got it mail.
You got me.
And they were using Netscape.
Exactly. So it was a really good time travel TV show that gave me the time tunnel vibes.
Mhm.
And that might date me. But it was really good. It's so good. My wife is actually loving the show. We're considering buying the DVDs. So that is my first impression.
What, you're not going to watch them all backwards?
Hey, I'm proud of that new skill acquired, right?
Yeah,
What, the watching in a mirror skill?
Yeah.
exactly.
I put the TV behind my car actually and watch it to the rear mirror.
Well, it was a while ago, so it's in the review mirror.
I'll go next. it was like Robert said, it was very refreshing. I totally got the Cub like CIS vibe because of like the terrorist attack and him trying to fix it. It was very creative for the time how they brought the sci-fi into it. Definitely. I watched the first one actually until Ray told me that there was part two for the pilot. I was like, "Where's the sci-fi?" And traveling really happens in the second part of the pilot. So when I watched, I was like, "Oh, okay." But it was very
He took a
interesting.
lot of convincing, man. He was really getting down on those ads.
I
It's
was
like,
fixated.
this ad's every 10 minutes.
But I really like it. I loved the dynamic between the characters. I like how he gets antagonized so easily. He's like the badass that nobody likes. kind of like Captain
Anti-hero.
Kirk. Captain Kirk, Robert, but right? He's kind of like a Kirk vibe, right? He's good at what he does, but no many people like him.
I think he had more of a Khan vibe, really, if you're going for Star Trek.
You think? Because Khan didn't save no
Yeah,
life.
the Khan from the second of the new version of Star Trek. The what do they call it? The Kelvin timeline.
Oh, the Kelvin title. Oh, I see.
Also, yeah. Cumberbatch.
Yeah, the Cumberbatch card. Yeah, thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he
Cumbercon.
reminded me of that sort of. I'm really fucking smart, but fuck you.
But yeah, that was my first impression on it. I think just to jump on you wondering why you didn't watch it, Robert. I know why. I mean, you're gonna tell me or admit that your list of things to watch is small or has shortened over the years.
No.
Exactly.
Babylon 5 came out like 4 years before this, so
And he was still on my
no excuses.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, things go out of air, channels go out of air.
Yeah.
But that is why. What was your first thoughts on it, Ray?
Well, we never had Spike TV down here, I'm pretty sure. But there was a show that I remember walking into a friend's house and they had it on playing on VHS around this time. It's called Babes in Bikinis Firing Automatic Weapons. And when you said Spike TV, the testosterone channel, I'm thinking this is something that would have been on there. You can go to YouTube and see episodes of Babes in Bikinis Firing Automatic Weapons.
I'm searching it right
what
now.
you're into. And off he goes. Joe will be back in a while.
We lost chaos. We lost chaos.
Sorry. I threw the dog a bone and now he's going out to bury it. So yeah, the show, yeah. It didn't feel scientific-y until the second part. It was just like, let's just hint that there's some science in here somewhere and leave everybody wondering for a week, because that's what would have happened. Like we were so used to having everything on demand, but back in the 90s, you had to wait a week.
Yes.
And you would have watched the first part going, they said this was sci-fi. Where is it? Would you come back next week? Maybe not. I don't know. Actually, I hope they actually showed it like the two back to back. Otherwise, people would have just walked away and forgotten about it because it was so generic. It was like a cop show. It was a bit special agenty kind of thing. A little bit Mulder and Scully-ish, but really didn't get into the science until the second half. So yeah, if they showed the first half and you had to wait a week, it'd be like, this isn't sci-fi. I'm gonna go like Star Trek.
Ray, thank you for that reference. I'm having the time of my life right now.
Oh my god.
This is better. This is better. Baywatch get nothing on this.
the slow-mo with the
Oh my God. No, and they bring the character and a photo, and then they give you like the name, height, weight, and measures.
Yeah. 3 numbers, 3 measures.
Well,
yeah.
Chaos. And I think we lost Jamie's audio.
No. I'm sorry, I'm muted.
What were you saying, Jay?
I was going to say you should look up. They had Spike TV horror awards
Oh yes, I remember those.
And there were some great ones. I have one or two of them left on. I think I converted them, but that's some great award shows too.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead. I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Ray, I want to add to what you just said. In me remembering back from the day, and Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong for this episode, right? Because I had never watched this episode, but watching things in that era, I remember that was very typical for them to do a longer episode. And then when they release those, they split them in two. So they make part one, part two. So, like, for example, if the show was 30 minutes, the first episode was an hour, and then it goes back to normal because they wanted to catch people on. So in my experience, if I am correct, this show was aired part one and part two at the same time, so it was just a longer episode. Jamie, is that how it happened?
Yes. So, and you all are right that it was on Spike TV. Okay, but Spike TV came around 2003.
Mhm.
Okay, so this originally aired on the UPN network,
Oh,
which was Paramount's network. That their attempt to go out and make their own network, of course, with that tent pole of Star Trek Voyager. So at the time, and I don't know about down under, but in the States, the only place you could see Voyager was on UPN. But because it wasn't an all-day show, you could pick it up on like what we would call the fourth channel, which would be like an independent channel. So we had ABC, CBS, NBC, and then locally we had KADN, which had its own programming, but then at night for 2 to 3 hours, you would have the UPN being broadcast.
yeah.
So on October 7th, 1998, they did play this both parts. So you did get the sci-fi of it. But later on, like they do with syndication, they would break it up into two parts. So I'm not sure about the sci-fi, the Spike Network viewing. But when it originally came out in UPN, yes, it did.
Awesome. And sorry about that, Ray. I just had to add that because
Nah, it's fine.
usually my experience with shows back in the day, they even did the same thing with Voyager when it first aired. So most shows was like a longer episode as the first episode.
Yeah, and that's how this one was. So you did get all of the NSA stuff at the beginning, and then I could be wrong, but I think I don't even want to say it, but I want to say that the part where, and again, I keep going and calling him Nick Searcy because that's the name of the actor. But the other guy, the one that doesn't like him very much.
Captain Flip Out, yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it leads right up to that part where he's fixing to gun him, and it kind of ends there. I could be wrong because I watched the original one, and it goes all 2 hours. But it was a great show. I remember I think it was like maybe a year and a half or two after Voyager had come out, because it wasn't one of the ones that came out right in 95, 96. But I instantly gravitated toward it because you've got, like you said, the secret agent NSA version of it, but then you find out that they have this backstep program. My wife, I was talking to her about this earlier today. She's like, I remember kind of watching that, and I was like, yeah, that had the Blair Underwood guy that you thought wasn't Blair Underwood, but he was still hot. And she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, that's how I get her. But it had a lot of cool parts to it, and then you find out that the whole backstep program is based on the Roswell crash and the alien technology and the fuel and all of the questions that you as a viewer are wanting to ask. A lot of it they answer in that first whole thing. Like, why do you only go back 7 days? Why is it so difficult to do? All of the things that we as people with science in our heads want to have answered, because it's easy to. I love Star Trek. We all love Star Trek. but they would write in an answer to make it, that's why we have the Heisenberg compensators for the transporters, because we invented something to go across that bridge. They try to make real explanations for it.
Yeah.
So I really liked
it. It has more internal logic than a lot of shows. Yeah, I'm huge on internal logic. So I'm a writer myself, and my stories have got to be internally consistent. They've got to have a logic.
Yeah.
If it's fantastical, it still has to be logical.
Right.
You can't just hand wave things away. There's got to be a reason for it, and the reasons are part of what makes it interesting.
Right.
And so, yeah, I did appreciate that they made a few attempts to be scientific about it.
Yeah.
And I'll go over them more in the Science Behind Science Fiction, because if I go over them now, I won't have anything for that section. But the writers obviously had some level of scientific advisor, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to do sci-fi and you don't have a scientific advisor, you're just doing fantasy. So go on.
Exactly. So I really got into it. So there are a lot of things that happen in these two episodes together. A lot of them were great nods. So at first, like you said, they're actually Chechenian. So in the initial attack, they're able to kill the U.S. and the Russian presidents and the U.S. vice president. And then when they're moving the Speaker of the House over into a secure location, they bazooka him and kill him too. So it's happening left and right. Like, we're just getting the head chopped off of, so people are starting, to really go crazy. And at the time, the backstep program was not even anywhere near ready to relaunch again, because they don't talk about exactly what happened, but they had an incident that you kind of get a flash of, where the chrononaut and the chronosphere are floating in space. So something's not bad.
And the pilot is dead.
His dad, yeah, he's floating around by himself. So for it to be this massive of an issue, it's all hands on deck, and that is why so many things happen. So he gets picked out of a group of 5 other guys. Of course, Top Gun, Top Notch, all these guys. But no matter what,
one guy gets the boot for having a runny nose.
Runny nose, exactly. So he gets chosen for his ability for his pain tolerance. His threshold is very, very high, because he was left in a box in Afghanistan for 7 or 8 days with no food, no water, and so his threshold. And he didn't break. That's the important part.
And nobody likes him, so if he dies, everybody wins anyways.
Exactly. He was, and I believe they say that he's expendable. If this doesn't work, hey, we roll the dice, and the president's still dead. But he's able to do what's called threading the needle, which at first looks like a video game, but later on we find out. We could talk about that in the sci-fi person. There's a very real reason that he's playing this video game. And so he gets.
So does that mean the guy who was floating around dead in space got the game over message?
I bet you he did. I don't think he got the countdown either. For an extra quarter, that's it.
They can't take quarters back in time, because he had to mooch some off the guy he got the lift from, so he didn't have a quarter to put in.
Of course, he could have had one under his arm, but that's where the little sensor went. So he was messed up, basically.
Based on good magic tricks, the quarter comes from behind your ear.
Yeah, there you go. So it was very cool, because when they go to set him up, and this is where he and Dr. Olga start having sparks flying. He gets a radioactive UPC code, which we all pretty much get. We just don't know it. And that little chip that gets implanted in him, that's basically a data storage device. So I love that. If he dies in the backstep, they could still read the data and know what's going on. And it's great, but the whole thing about it is he can only go back 7 days. But as the countdown timer is going from the actual event, they have to wait until they have enough information to make the backstep, but still have time to fix it. And so again, the science behind that's right there.
And they've thought really hard about how they're going to convince people, can basically convince themselves that he's legit.
Yes.
Right.
They thought really hard about that, which I liked.
Yes.
Right. Even to the point where, they have this, they have the little, chip. And when when he arrives back in time and he calls in with his code name Conundrum, they're all like, well, wait a minute, they pull this guy up. He's in a mental institution right now. So
well, it was even better than that. I just love the reactions, like Conundrum. Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit. Something really bad has happened if we're going to do this right in 7 days.
Yeah.
Can we all agree that the peak moment is when he gets there and the guy says, "These guys, whatever he says, is our gospel." Okay.
I love that part. Yes.
That was peak.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah. From this point on, and Ramsey, that's the guy's name, Ramsey. The the guy, he's just like, oh no, we can't listen to him. And the Bane guy comes in and says, oh yes, you will. And so
Ramsey goes mad dog and tries to kill him when he's trying to launch the time machine.
Right.
And he's like, oh well, at least they shot the guy. Now I won't have to put up with him. Back 7 days. Oh shit.
Oh crap. Yeah. So he ends up after the back.
Yeah, but that happened twice, because then he's like, hey baby, and she's like, who the fuck are you? I'm getting close to the scientist woman, and then she doesn't know him from a bar of soap, and he's
right.
Like, aww.
Yeah. So it's really cool how, as he makes it back, he's in Vegas. And so he makes the phone call and he's waiting for him. And that's where he decides to go in, and he takes his whole life savings, which is, I think, $9,000, and bets it on the Denver Nuggets because he just watched the game and they won. And so this is a cool little thing to further on the whole butterfly effect later on. If a butterfly farts in San Diego, does a plane get, grounded in Newark? But as he goes through and they figure out what's going on, it's not all easy, because they managed to stop 3 of the 6 guys. But now all they're going to do is, okay, well, they're not going to be able to use their plane. Now they're going to go to the backup plan, which they don't know what it is. Luckily, Parker remembers that the Russians were able to find one of their compatriots. And they figure out what's going to go on, which is now they're just going to take the truck and park it by the White House to blow it up there. And they're able to stop them. And of course, in pure Arnold Schwarzenegger style, he gets shot and they have to rip his shirt open to show all of his muscles, Yeah, I'm not jealous.
I wouldn't call that Arnold Schwarzenegger style. I call that James T. Kirk style.
Oh. Not a Schwarzenegger movie where he doesn't lose, a sleeve or a shirt.
How many episodes in the original series of Star Trek did Kirk have his shirt off?
It's actually something I've never.
Go and have a look. There's plenty of them.
This is true, though. This is true. But again, after all is said and done, and he gets back. Goes and looks, and sure enough, the Nuggets lose by 1 point. So he's lost all his money, and the present has changed for him. So it's a really neat setup for what's going to happen.
Son back.
He did. He saved his son, even though the wife wouldn't listen to him.
He landed next to Vegas, and she asked him where he is, and he tells her.
He tells her, yeah.
That was so unfortunate.
Where are you?
I'm at the Pentagon.
Newark?
Yeah.
He could have said
that's his ex-wife.
He was a little too honest.
Yeah. So anyway, it ends great where he gets his little button where he's officially a chrononaut. And even though Ramsey still doesn't like him, the rest of the team sees what his potential and what he can do, and it goes from there. And he goes.
I like the way he said to Ramsey, "Take it easy on those pills, dude. They're not
on the stimulant. Yeah.
good."
What are you talking about?
I know shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if we interrupted. Did you finish your answer so we can move on?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jamie, I don't think I kind of grab. What was your first impression of the show?
So I loved it. I loved it from the get go. Because of the way that it brought in, the spy guy and really the science that they brought to you, because TOS was great, but they didn't explain. Star Wars is even worse. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to talk about Star Wars and the science behind them, but they
Let's
really
talk
gave
about
you.
how it works.
They really
Let's slow-
gave you an
let's slow down
explanation.
light so you can see it coming and dodge it.
You know what he remind me of, and correct me if I'm wrong. He gave me a sci-fi version of Jack Bauer.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah, I see that.
I can see that. Yeah,
From
and
48.
I know that we're only talking about this episode, but just like Sliders, and I love Sliders as well.
Me too.
There are so many different places and situations that he gets caught in and has to do stuff. I mean,
Oh, and we kind of
you
lost
know,
the audio.
oh, I'm sorry. He
Okay.
goes back in time. I don't know why he keeps doing that. But all the environments that get set up, that he goes into the different places. He stops in a bolivars that kills 98% of the world. He becomes a ghost at one point.
Oh wow.
And there's another one where, of course, we get the hot Olga doppelganger who shows up, and he instantly is like, yes, finally, and then she's a Russian plant, and then you find out that her husband, who was also a Russian chrononaut who is thought dead, is not dead, and that's comes back to bite him. And also, there's a really, really great episode that if you do go out and watch this, I would called I've lost it here. Anyway, there's an episode that happens where the previous chrononauts it's called A Dish Best Served Cold. So the previous guy, who was thought to be dead and his sphere was lost, actually ended up in an Amazon rainforest with amnesia and was adopted by the tribe there. But they're actually able to go and find him, but all of this stuff happens and they end up destroying Parker's sphere, and they end up having to use the original one. And it's a really great, if you've ever seen Crow, you've seen him. He was in China Beat. He was Joe in the 4th season of The Walking Dead. He's a really great character actor, and he does a really good job in this one. So that first season for me is chef's kiss. So if you have an opportunity,
the episode of Dish Best Served Cold is episode 17 in season 1.
Okay,
if people are looking for it.
Awesome.
Trick people all over this. David Livingston is a executive producer. He also directs a couple of episodes. So if you're in a Trek, you'd probably enjoy this.
One thing that I want to point out that I just absolutely love. When we talk about time travel shows, and we have done quite a few of those in this show, we kind of agree on although we typically like the stuff we cover, we kind of agree that the reasoning behind that, how time travel works, is not very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So typically you have someone goes in a booth, they go in, let's say, for example, 10 years
or a DeLorean.
Or a DeLorean. Yeah, let's take that for example. They go back in time, and they are in the same, the same road. They go 88 miles an hour, and it just, you see the streaks of fire, and all of a sudden they come up in the same road in the other timeline, and then they move on to do the things that they want to do. Which is great. It's sci-fi, it's fantasy. We still love it. But when you think about it with scientific eyes, it's not very accurate. And it's because, you could end up anywhere. When he disappeared in his present to go back to the future, the Earth was in a specific time and space. And that is not the time and space that he would end up to going in the past, because not only the Earth rotates, on its axis, it rotates, it goes around the sun, and the sun goes around the galaxy. And it is incredible for us to think the great speed that all this is happening, because we don't feel a thing, because we're being affected by the gravity of the Earth. So, and I think Gio, in one of the episodes, I can't remember which episode it was, I think you show a graph where we see the sun moving on into a straight line across the galaxy, and you see all the planets spiraling around the sun as the sun moves around. So, having that in mind, if I go in right now, for example, let's say I have a machine right now and I press the button and I go 10 years in the past. I'm going to go 10 years in the past in this location, in this space, within the same coordinates within space. But that same coordinate in space within the galaxy is not the same coordinate that Earth would have been back, 10 years in the past. Why I do all this long explanation is because this show might be one of the first ones that explain that time traveling issue. And I was really surprised, and I think I love the show for it, because it's the first time where they actually explain that they have a machine that calculates the rotation. Oh, there you go. Thank you so much. So for all of you out there who are watching our YouTube video, which comes out a month after the pod releases, we're showing a animated image that shows you how the sun goes about within the galaxy. So it moves in a straight line, which actually is rotating around the galaxy center, and you see the planets just spiraling around, following the sun. And that's pretty much how we go about, which is mind-boggling how fast we're going.
Well, the inner planets spiral quite quickly, relatively, but the outer planets, you can see that because they've got such large orbits, they don't spiral nearly as fast.
Yes. So having that visual in mind, you imagine how horrible it is. So to be accurate, if you don't have a way to predict where the planet will be, not only that, but what kind of rotation and where within the planet you would be, it is very likely that when you appear to wherever place you went, could be future or past, you ended up in space, because space is vast. So I love this show's explanation, because they did explain they have a machine that can predict where Earth would be like. I mean, where Earth will be at. So they are able to somewhat pinpoint where within Earth they can land back in, 7 days in the past, which they add to the realism, because from the very first episode, we see that he didn't quite land it where he was supposed to land.
Right.
He landed in Vegas.
And they explain They explain why he does it too, because it rips out and it causes him pain, and he loses it. Again, the science was there.
And I love that. And
Yes.
I hope you guys. I'm sure you got it, Jamie, but I don't know, Gio and Ray. I'm like, when I watched that, I was just like, I was literally, yes. There was a time traveling story that explains that.
Yes.
Well, they get half marks, and I was going to cover this in the Science Behind Science Fiction, but Robert never lets me have anything left by the time we get there. He's always got to jump in and ruin it for
I'm
me.
trying, man.
I don't want to do this again, so I'll jump in on the end of this. It's the old case of the steak knives, but wait, there's more. The galaxy is moving in a direction as well at high speed.
Oh yeah.
So you've got the rotation of the planet, the rotation of the planet around the sun. You've got the rotation of the sun around the center of the galaxy, and the galaxy is moving in a direction as well. So you've got 4 directions of movement simultaneously, moving the Earth in what, if you just watched it from a fixed point in space, would look like the Earth is on some sort of drug and it's jinking all over the place. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to track that through time and get back to the exact same point. It would be hard.
Yeah. Oh yes.
And I mean, yes, as you said, Robert, I was pleased that they at least went some way to try to explain this, which was cool. But they didn't quite get the whole box and dice. They kind of got like one corner. But yeah, I at least they made an attempt. If they got it all, I would have been like on the floor, like they talked to a scientist. Whoa!
They got a scientist making the show.
Yeah. Shocking.
Oh wow. Yep.
I mean, God, what would scientists have to do with sci-fi? I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
But yeah, I mean, I give it marks for that. Looking at it from a story perspective, this is what you would call a slow burn start. And if Gio had listened to his own little inner monologue and not listened to me about the second part, he would have watched and gone, "This is sci-fi? What?" Because there wasn't much of any sci-fi in the first half. It all sort of train wrecked at the back end. And that was because they were trying to make it a bit of a mystery. What's going on here? What are the NSA up to? And you don't really get the feeling that there's any sci-fi involved until they land at Area 51. And then you go, oh, now we're getting somewhere.
That was actually really cool when they were landing. It was pitch black. He's looking at the altimeter, and they're at 300 feet. I can relate. I fly a little tiny Cessna, so I can relate. 300 makes me uncomfortable. I want to be at 1,000 at the very least.
You don't fly them into the White House, though, do you?
Robert, you remember last time I used the simulator on your house? How I went tree height?
He was using a Bonanza G36. It was a 6-seaters, really powerful plane on the simulator.
Like
and
he
was probably going 2,000 feet. He was buzzing houses, and I was just so nervous. I know it was a simulator. I was still shaky. No.
Back in the 90s, a friend of mine and I used to play F-19 Stealth Fighter, the game. And we got so good at it that we'd be flying at 3 meters off the sea.
Oh,
leaving a pair of rooster trails behind us. Like you look out the rear view, and this is just rooster tails as the jet wash pushes the ocean into the air. And you're flying in under the radar. And it's so much fun.
And you see, Robert, that would have get you locked up.
But that's what you had to do in this game to not get shot down by SAMs.
Yeah, that's pretty much what is done whenever you have missions like that, if you want to escape the radars. But the scene that I'm talking about is when he first landed in, I believe was Area 51. He went to see the pilots, and the pilots were like, they weren't talking. So he's trying to make small talk. no response. He looks out the altimeter and is at 300 and descending. He looks out, everything is black, and they're descending and descending.
No landing lights, no nothing.
And I thought it was very clever for a secret landing or a secret airport that they would actually turn the lights on at the very last minute, and as soon as you land, they turn the lights off. But I thought that was so clever, and I can see the reasoning behind all that stuff because you have ILS approaches. You're coming in for approach. You have the airport on the GPS, so you have you have the the altitude and the heading. So if you're using, and this is how you would fly IFR, which is instrument flying. If you have all the information, you technically don't. As a matter of fact, for IFR training, you get these tiny glasses that would let you only see controls and you can't see outside. So I can see how they could, go in complete darkness and know exactly where they're going to land because that's IFR flying. But for someone looking from the outside, like Parker, it was very scary because you don't see anything outside, and you're low because you're looking at the altimeter. So I thought that was really clever.
And of course that area of, is it Arizona that Area 51's in, or it's somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. Nevada, yeah. It's below sea level. The surface is below sea level.
Yes,
and they actually fly below sea level. And he's like, "What the?"
It makes total sense because I mean you're talking about something very, very confidential, and having it on is like a beacon. You don't want that.
Yeah. And that's why I found it very clever because that's what you would have to do if you have an airport that you want to conceal. The lights will be off, and it's very easy to just turn it on when you're ready to land. So apparently, we momentarily lost a bad scientist. I'm glad to see him back.
I blew my nose in peace.
So wanted to bring that out, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Because, and I don't know, and again, maybe it's just me because I can relate to that because of my pilot's license. But I wanted to see if there's something that you kind of found interesting as well. Or it was just me.
Well, I mean, obviously it's an NSA secret project. Where they're going is a secret. It's got to be kept quiet. Now, obviously, these days with Starlink and Google Mapping and all that sort of stuff, you'd really want to not have the lights burning all night on a runway. And of course, it might be just an energy conservation consideration because you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to be part of the state grid. Really, I wouldn't expect, in a place like that, you have your own generators, so you'd have a limited amount of power. Why would you leave the lights running all night if there's only one plane coming in the whole night? Leaving them on to come on at the last minute is, you don't want any other planes flying by to notice that the runway's there because it's a secret. So I can understand why they would do that, but it also added to the mystery. I mean, they basically spent the first 50 minutes building up the mystery before they started to reveal things. The first reveal really was when they walked past the crashed spaceship, and his friend said, "Keep your eyes straight ahead. If you look at these guys funny, they will shoot you."
You mentioned Roswell because of Area 51, but you know what I think it would have make a perfect cameo for this if they put Bob Lazar in there.
Well, you would have been on, right? I think
his whole scandal was in '89. So he would have made like a good joke for whole history.
Yeah,
this movie is full of aha moments, and And I like Ray said before, I think that it gives a lot of depth to the story, how they try to bring science into it, also kind of logic, so it's not just fantasy. That's what makes it more real. That so-called blur line that we always like, that kind of delete the fiction from reality and kind of takes you into the storytelling of what you're watching.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, slow burn doesn't work for everybody, and this falls under the category of slow burn, at least for the first part. And I mean, I've been bagged for starting out novels as a slow burn, but it worked for the story that was being told, and it works here as well. But the problem with the ADHD generation is that they probably wouldn't hang around until it got interesting. Slow burn isn't something that's used very often these days. You wouldn't see a show with a huge lead in like this these days. You've got to have like something wham bam thank you ma'am really quick to get people to stick around. And you see that in all the shows these days, that the action is there in the first 5 minutes, or people flip off because they've got so many other things they can watch. Streaming is so prevalent these days that you can watch things, you can watch 50, 60 years of television and movies, anytime you want. And so if you're not grabbed in the first 5 minutes, you just move on. So this show would struggle today to get a viewership, I think, because it is a slow burn. But it does work for this story. There's a lot of, well, what's going on here? Moments where you're sort of going, I wonder what's going on here. And for the thinking viewer, this show works. But for the action orientated channel flipper, they wouldn't have stuck.
Yeah. What is it that you called it, Gio? The TLDR generation?
Yeah, too long didn't read. Unfortunately, man. It's something alien to me, because I am a consumer of long media. Like when I go and watch a YouTube video about something, we're talking about 1 hour, hour and a half video. Even if it's about AI documentary, I don't watch at 20 minutes or short. I like the depth of content. I like all my questions. When I watch something longer, the chances that I get the questions that come out as I watch answer is bigger when I watch something longer.
It's the TikTok generation right now. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different from what we like. It's like you were saying. I mean, that's why the videos are 60 seconds long. I mean, they want to see something and then move on, something and move on. And so to invest in something like this would be very difficult.
Yep. I mean, and don't go further. Like there's series. I mean, have you watched The Office? I always ask this to guests when we have them.
Oh yeah, I love The Office.
Exactly, I adore The Office. The Office is slow burn the whole first season, but once you put yourself to the first season, you cannot stop watching it. It's impossible. Babylon 5 too. The first season is totally slow burn, but once you start it, it's great. You can't stop it.
Yep, that's true. So it'll be interesting to see what science fiction is like in another 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it can be done quick. Look at Dust.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Well, we can't talk short about it though. There has been episodes that we have done 2 hours long about a 5-minute Dust movie.
Yeah, it's true. Great movie though.
Great movie. So let me ask you this, and I guess I kind of started, and I gave you 2 examples already. So I'm going to pose a question, and we can go around. What is your, I guess, your favorite scene or scenes from the pilot episode? I think I already mentioned 2 that I found really interesting. Anyone can go first.
Jamie, we'll give you the floor.
Oh, thank you. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the scene where where he breaks down after seeing his son is dead. And then Ramses brings it to everybody's attention without knowing what's really going on. I think that was a very powerful statement, especially with the two guys that weren't Parker. I mean, you've got this message going on. This thing going on the side. I thought that was very powerful. As as funny as it is, I also enjoyed the scene at the very beginning when they're all in the special black ops insane asylum mental institution, and they all are like Allocca, and then they break out into the Planet of the Apes, spitting their food and everything across from them. But then Parker sees the TV and he gets everybody to shut up, and it's just his voice, him telling them, "Stop it," and everybody stops. So right there, not knowing what's going to happen later in the show, right there you see that he is a good leader, that people will follow him. And I thought both of those were great. I mean, of course, the original, I don't know what you'd call it, takeoff, where the chronosphere makes its first jump that we get to see, that was amazing. I mean, with the lightning going around it and the threading the needle part, I loved those.
Awesome. Ray, do you have a scene or scenes that you found particularly interesting or that you like about the pilot?
Oh, now you put me on the spot. It's hard to describe whether I'd refer to it as interesting or typical or, oh, Jesus Christ, what's next? I guess two scenes come to mind. The first one is when he's about to take off and the guy high on stimulants who hates his guts comes in with a gun. It's like, dude, you're a fuckwit. How did you get this job? I mean, he must have had a psychotic break or something to pull a gun and go running in there. He knows how little of the reactor mass they have left. He knows that they've only got this one chance. They've got to go with the guy. You just suck it up. The decision was made. If you're part of a governmental or military operation, sure, you can disagree, but once the decision is made, you've got to run with it. That's how they're trained. And this guy's a fuckwit. I mean, really, pulling a gun and trying to shoot the guy through the window of the capsule when it's about to jump through time. It's like, dumbest things you've ever done. This is it.
Wow.
I mean, really, you can disagree all you like, but, they're trained that if the group has made a decision, doesn't matter how much you disagree, you've got to just go with it, because if you try and disrupt it, you'll ruin any chance.
And add to the fact that he's shooting through the capsule, so it would ruin that.
Mm-hmm. 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 No, he was complete nutbag. I don't know how he got that job. And the other part involved him again when they were checking him over. And checking over Parker when he'd gone back in time, and like they opened a little hatch on his spacesuit, and there's the radioactive barcode, and the guy's like, "Oh, he's faked it. He must have, somebody must have got out," and he's making up these complete bullshit scenarios about their high security operation just being completely open, and somebody could fake it, and it's just like, you're an idiot. He should have lost his job at that very moment. They should have dragged him off and chucked him in Parker's cell because he was clearly insane.
Right.
Do you think it was the medicine he was taking?
He wasn't taking it at that point yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When he tries to shoot Parker, yeah, it's definitely the stimulants. He has been awake for 6 days with no sleep. That's what he's saying. So I could see the psychosis break there. But what Ray is saying is totally right. This guy shows up and he has everything except for the little disc. Everything that says, "I'm the guy that you sent back in time." And he's just like, no. I think he says something like, there must be somebody that works here with him that gave him the code or something to put on his. What? No. And Ramsey's like that the entire show. I don't think
the whole point of the ink being radioactive was so it couldn't be faked.
Right. And
then he just says, "Oh, it's just been faked." The guy was a fuck knuckle.
Oh, what? I've never heard that one.
You heard that here first. We should make.
I got to write that.
That's an old Australian saying. It's for somebody who's just so stupid, saying such stupid drivel that they need to be dragged off behind a building and reminded of the feast. It just, he should have been just relieved of duty and put in Parker's cell because he was an idiot. He was ruining everything. He should not have kept his job. I don't care if they needed the dramatic tension.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, he got to that point, that super secret clearance to work on this project, and he's pulling stupid stuff like that out. It made no sense.
It's funny that you mentioned that because there's two points within this show that I feel the same way. That's one of them. This is a secret installation. We know from the very beginning when Parker is walking in that what was the warning that he was given? Like if you look at them wrong, they'll shoot you, right? So
at the UFO.
Yeah. So
look at the UFO.
So they have, and you could see this as they walk around. They have a strong military presence. How did this happen again? I mean, he's walking and waving it. Well, not really waving, but it is obvious he's carrying a gun and he's walking towards this machine. In my opinion, if this would have been like a real location where with a strong military presence, he would have he would have been shot by the time he got to the staircase.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just say that you wouldn't have got that far at the Stargate Command.
Yeah.
He would not have even gotten the room.
The other, place in this pilot that I felt the same way is towards the end when they're going to the White House and they're walking running the lawn. Secret Service would have been all over, them, especially when they're carrying, what was it, machine guns?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what? Really? So yeah,
it would ruin the dramatic tension of the final chase if the guy runs onto the lawn and gets just mowed down by Secret Service.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He wouldn't have Parker wouldn't have had his opportunity to rip his shirt off and show off his penis.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
Right.
Had to have that to get the ladies in.
That could have been bad.
And it made for a cool scene where he got to reunite with his kid, who he hasn't seen in years, and his ex-wife realizes, oh crap, he knows what's going on. I could have killed our son by bringing him here. Which again, it shows up later. I mean, I think there's an episode a little while later where her current fiance is one of the reasons why they have to backstep. So it's a good place to put it in. But yeah, if he hopped that fence, they'd of course you say that, but the Secret Service couldn't hit a Cessna plane with 3 rockets. So
exactly,
if they were RPGs and unguided, sure, but not heat-seeking guided missiles. No, sorry.
Yeah. That one kind of made me. That's one of.
It couldn't even get that close. I mean, we have TFRs, right? And that has the biggest TFR there is in an aviation map. All you have to do is get close to that TFR, and you have F-15s on each wing.
Right.
So it's just
not a nice picture.
Yeah.
So basically, they tried to make the science right, but they made the flying ridiculous. Way to go, guys!
He made up for perfect tension.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Uh, Captain Chaos, what is your favorite scene or scenes from the pilot that you can recall?
Well, let me elaborate first on why my favorite scene. But what I love the most is he's that guy that everybody hates and he knows it, but he knows you all need me. And my favorite scene is the one that I said before when they declare whatever he says is gospel to us.
Mhm.
That was
That was
that scene to me. I was like, who? Yes. Suck on it.
that was awesome. I like
That
that.
was my favorite scene, man.
Awesome. Ah, so
It's the old vindication scene.
Oh yeah.
There's a guy denouncing you, and it's like, nope, this guy's legit. Suck it up.
Hey, whenever somebody's trying to compete with the main guy and he just comes and makes a statement, I am the GOAT, and nobody can say anything about it. Oh yeah.
yeah, this show grabbed me and my wife, and I think we're gonna continue watching. It's still I still say I don't know how I missed this, but I guess Gio has a really good point. My list is huge, and it's just
Yep.
getting worse, especially after I started
Are
this.
you bragging?
Yeah, it
Well,
sounds like it.
I got a remedy for you, Robert. If you pause whatever you're watching that never's gonna stop producing, like Doctor Who and Star Trek,
Yeah.
you might be able to catch up with the list.
But they're so good, especially anime. It's one of those
Even your animes, you'll be able to catch up if you start watching things that are never gonna start being produced, like Doctor Who and Star Trek.
Yeah, but his missus wants to watch Star Trek, so he's stuck. It's no longer Star Trek, it's now Stuck Trek.
I would like to throw something quickly out there because before we move to the science part of it. So Dr. Talmadge, the guy who basically comes in and says the next words out of this man's mouth is gospel. He's played by an actor named Alan Scarf. And as Star Trek fans here, you may remember he was a Romulan in a couple of episodes. But what you may not know is that he was actually married to Barbara Marsh, one of the Duras sisters, the Klingon Duras sisters. He just passed away this April. He had colon cancer, 77 years old. But I went to a show once where both of them were there, both the Duras sisters, and I knew that she was there. So I brought an envelope with me with a couple of his cards in it. And I said, I know this is probably strange, but would you mind having Mr. Allen, if you would take this back home? And said it's got postage and everything to sign it. And she was so gracious and so lovely. She was like, yeah, sure, give it to me. And when I don't know, a couple of weeks later, I got a big packet in the mail, and he sent me like a big 8x10 of the whole cast, a black and white, a colored. He signed my cards. He said, thanks so much for, your support of 7 days, because, I went on in my little letter to him about that. So I found it was, when looking up to do this episode, I ran across that, and I was like, I didn't even know he had passed. I knew she had died, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, but I think it's just kind of kismet that we're doing this show right at that time. So I just wanted to share that story.
That's nice and wholesome, actually. I mean, it's not every day that you get to connect with stars that you like and follow what they do, and they get back to you.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that many people have on their bucket list, and not everybody has the privilege to actually check it out. That's very nice.
I actually have had dozens of stories like that, because the Star Trek community is made up of some amazing people. And I used to write all the time to people, and I had a very, very high success rate. But that one was, was special to me, because a lot of times you think they'll just sign your card and send it back. And he took the time to send me and it was a few years after the show was gone. So he must've just had that stuff laying around. But
Wow.
yeah,
No, and the big thing is, I bet that you were not even expecting a return car or anything. So it's a beautiful surprise. I bet.
yeah, it really was. It really
Nice,
was. So.
nice.
Nice. Okay, so if we don't have anything else to add, I want to ask the very last question that we asked
Dun, dun,
on
dun,
the
dun.
show. Exactly. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, since we don't have anything to talk about science of sci-fi. Yeah. Sorry, Ray. You look so disappointed.
Robert does it to me nearly every week.
For what it's worth,
Can't
for
help
what it's
himself.
worth. Whenever that happens, it's because the show was so good that we could not just hold it back.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about that robot Alita chick thing if you want. I actually have a question. Yeah, you're in Australia, right? Can you give us the lottery numbers for today?
Well, you know, I would.
Write them down.
The act of giving them to you will change them. Because
that's true.
I'm willing to take the risk, Ray.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm willing to take the
13. Write this down.
Right.
We're making up numbers. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna ask you sometime.
I am not. They're legitimate numbers that exist in mathematics. I'm not.
He's Australia's chrononaut. He knows.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, we're all chrononauts. We're time traveling at 1 second per second forwards.
Yeah, we
Okay,
all.
let's make it easier, Ray. Who's gonna win the next major leagues in baseball?
I don't even know who's playing now, let alone who's going to win.
You know what?
Let me Google it.
It's someone that listens to the show and play those numbers and actually wins.
Yeah, we need a small part. I mean, what 5 10?
Just be our sponsor.
10% each. You know.
Yeah.
Just put it through the buy me a coffee. It'll be great.
We'll be happy.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to derail you.
Well,
don't worry. We have no rails.
We have no rails. It doesn't exist. So the question that we asked.
I was going to say before all that happened that Robert's suffering from premature scientific-y.
Premature scientific.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
So
when your science goes off too fast.
Well, you know, it's. I think it might be me. When I watch a sci-fi show, science is always prevalent in my mind. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy things like Star Wars. That science is completely, off the rails.
Science fantasy, yes.
It's fantasy, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's whenever I watch sci-fi, science is always up front. And this, I just had to mention this because it impressed me. Because not many shows deal with the topic of time travel like this show did. And I really appreciate that. I think most, I would love if most IPs out there or new IPs that might be coming, they could deal with time travel the way that this TV show deals with. Yeah. So I just had to mention that. The last question is, what is your last impression of this show? And it's again, it's kind of weird for this episode because we all kind of watch it one time. Usually the question goes a little bit beyond that, where you would compare your perspective of the show the first time you watched it versus the accumulation of times you watch it throughout, including today, which is, I guess, the only one that can answer that at this point would be Jamie. But all of us could take at least the last impression, which might be close to our first impression because we only watched it once. Do you guys want me to go first, or you want to?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. So if I could watch this remastered with the text round the right way, in rather than 4:3 at 480, but like 1080p or something. It would be quite a reasonable show. I think it's got the possibility of getting quite good. Obviously the writers think hard enough to lay foreshadowing down and create situations that then come back, loop back into the story. Jamie mentioned a few of them that come in later on, with previous pilots and all sorts of things, because you get lost traveling through time. Where did they go? So it's even in the pilot already that there are other pilots who have gone missing, and we saw one guy who was lost in orbit and had suffocated. So it's freaking dangerous. But there's people out there who've been lost. They can show up again. They're laying the groundwork for what could be a really interesting show. And science aside, you've got to have personal conflict and raising the stakes and all that sort of thing. And I think that the writers of this show are on the right track to make it interesting. I've only seen the pilot, so I'll have to defer to Jamie's final comments to get a feeling for what might be in store. But if I could watch this remastered so it's comfortable on a big screen TV, I'd certainly give it a go.
Okay. You want to go next, Gio?
Yeah, I can go next. This show was interesting. I did love that, even though it's not comedy, the tension between the characters in the series add that taste of it. At least to me, I did love it. Uh, Again, I am a big fan of Jack Bauer, and it gave me full vibes of this, and it brought a lot of nostalgia from late 90s TV shows for sure. Watching it, I don't know why. I don't know if it's that TV shows and cable TV was kind of in a way universal, but I felt that when I watched this. So I will definitely, if I can get that, I hope that at some point something like Tubi or Peacock picks it up and puts it on streaming services. It will be definitely a watch. I will be interested to see. It seems that they go deeper and deeper on trying to bring science fiction with a good depth of explanation behind it, and that I like brainy TV. I don't like watching like things that don't have much sense behind it. So this kind of did it. I definitely would suggest it if you like that. It remind me, even though it's not the same thing. You remember that show, Robert, that you showed me that it was like fighting gargoyles.
Oh, we did an episode on that.
Yeah, we did.
Too.
It gave me vibes of that kind of TV show too.
It was UPN as well.
You see,
SU2.
Yeah.
SU2. Yeah.
Yep.
It was
So,
UPN.
and definitely, I like when you have the asshole as a main character, and everybody has to put it with it. It's so good.
Gio, it's called an anti-hero, all right?
Yeah,
He is an asshole, but the term is anti-hero.
at least he's not obnoxious like Deadpool. He's just an asshole.
You're going to think I'm a bit strange, but I still haven't seen Deadpool.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Really?
I actually watch it because Robert fixed that. But if not, probably hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, I fixed that. I think we need to fix Ray also.
I don't think that has a fix.
You're not taking me to the
vet. Oh wow. My final thoughts is this IP is extremely refreshing for me. I am hooked, only because of what we spoke about. Whenever you have a show that gives you science, I'm happy about, because I envision that I'm not the only one. I envision that it actually piqued the interest of someone else to watch this, and they're able to go out, if it's today, for example, on Google, and research that one thing. And that makes me happy. That's and reason why we do the show and reason why we do the science behind science fiction is because I think this would be a better world if we can have, or if you can pique the interest of most people into scientific topics. And that sounds very like, like it could be something very hard to comprehend. No, uh, all you need to do is to have a curious imagination, and you need to have curiosity enough that will make you go out and search for the answers. And this is something that I think in today's world is lacking because we tend to take what we hear online at face value without actually doing our own research. Uh,
Boom.
and you could, I mean, I could be saying something, and Ray knows this, and I actually did this on the This Is Sci-Fi hashtag. I posted something, and I was so happy when someone came back and say fact check because someone actually looked at it. Someone did the research. And Ray knows this from the beginning of season 2, where I would intentionally say stuff incorrectly. And you remember that, Ray? And
Oh yes.
do I still do that?
Not deliberately anymore.
But that is the whole idea is I want you guys to go out there and do your own research and do not take what people say face value. Do your own research because I could be saying something right now that I believe is very, very true, right? And I'm human. I could be saying something that it's not true. And I really encourage you to go out there, research, and prove me wrong because I actually learned from that interaction. So why I say all this long-winded explanation is because uh, I like what this show did. How they explained the science, and how although it's low burn, and again, I am judging this on the first episode, right? This is pilot. I haven't seen anything else on this, but I really love where this show is going from what they actually did on this episode, and it really piqued my interest on many of the topics that I don't see or I don't remember seeing other sci-fi IPs do in the way that this one does. And I wish more sci-fi. And again, this is aside from hard sci-fi, right? I haven't seen many other sci-fi shows do what this show did with the science. So I really appreciate it, and I strongly recommend it. I know it's going to be hard to watch. So at the time of this recording, I think the only way to get it is to go in and finding the DVDs. And I did a research, and you can find them on Amazon. You can get the delivery. So I strongly recommend. I think is worth the price. Um, and I invite you out there if you go and find, let's say, for example, the first DVD or the first season of this TV show on Amazon, and you watch it. Come to our Discord channel and let's discuss it. Let me know what you think. I mean, was I right? Was any of us here talking about this? Were we right? I mean, did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? And let's have a conversation about it. Join us, find us on any of the socials, doing the This Is Sci-Fi hashtag, and let's have a conversation. I'm really, really, honestly curious to know your thoughts on that. And that is actually my final thoughts.
Just to add to that, your statement there, anybody can make a mistake. We can all get incorrect information. There's a lot of it out there on the internet, and my field is biology and molecular biology, and I still get stuff in that field wrong. You go and look up information. If you look up something, somebody like Geo's fiddled with the wiki and screwed it all up, then you will be quoting the wrong information because you were provided with the wrong information. So I've made mistakes like that before. The important thing is that the information that you pass on is what you understand to be correct at the time. But all scientists understand that what we know now is not all there is to know. So unlike something that's taken on faith where it never changes, science is always changing because it's what we know at this time about the universe. So we will learn more and then things will change. I often use this story as an example, but when my father went to high school, the atom was the smallest particle in existence.
Yeah.
And a couple of years after he finished high school and went off to start working, they split the atom.
Mm-hmm.
And then it changed. And then they found subatomic particles and then, quarks and mesons and all those funky things. Not a physicist, so I don't have a full list. But, science keeps changing. We learn new things. Our understanding changes. And anybody who, their ego is so tied to what they say that they can't possibly be wrong should not be a scientist because it doesn't work for you. It's going to change.
But anyways, he uses a lab coat, so if he says something, trust it.
Look, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I will just update my understanding and move on because that's what science is about. So,
he's waiting for you to get to Australia to dissect you.
It's not an end. It's not a destination. It's a journey. Science.
Yes.
Getting dissected is not a journey, Ray.
He wants to understand the chaos.
But he wants to be proven wrong. So somebody please prove him that Aries is worth hate.
Look, she made some mistakes.
I wonder if Jamie is wondering and is going to go look up for the anime and just so he can.
Oh, I just want to go see that robot lady with the sword. That's...
He's doing that deliberately now. I'm not going to buy it.
Attila the Hun, the robot lady. I don't know.
Correct you once, shame on me. Correct you twice, you're a troll.
Cyber Granny. She's a Cyber Granny.
Wow. Okay. So, Jamie, what is your final thought? And I think you're the one here that could give us a complete answer because you watched this years ago and now, and you can make a comparison.
So, it for me, it holds up. My thing is now that I rewatched this first one, I'm going to go back and rewatch the entire series again. It was very strong in the first season, and like a lot of shows do. Okay, well, how do you keep making it fresh and new? They do that, with the Poltergeist version, and and they're sure you call them tropes if you want to, but they work, and I do think that there's a lot for someone who enjoys hard sci-fi, but with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek as well. There's a great storyline between Olga and Parker and some of the things that happen in it and how they grow. So I love the show. I'm so appreciative that you guys let me come on here because I just love it. And I'm so glad that you guys didn't hate it because I think there is a lot to this show. I would say, for $30, you get 66 episodes, 50 cents an episode. I think that's a great deal. So I would say to go out and buy it and watch it and prove me wrong.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so are we ready for me to press the right button this time?
Go for it.
Let's go scientific.
It is Vegas, baby. Let's see what happens.
It was the butterfly effect. Blame it on that.
And SciFi.
Phew, you got the right one. Okay.
All right. Well, there's nothing else to talk about in science, so I guess.
Well, I do have a few things. But I'll just pick one and I'll see if these other guys, because we've got a list of things that we could talk around. But the one that I wanted to talk about was the fact that they talk about the engine, black box engine from the UFO affecting time and space. Now, space-time is as far as physics understands it, is a thing. It's not two separate things. It's a single thing. So you affect one, you affect the other. And obviously, gravity is involved in that propulsion system that the UFO's got, because they're talking about they talk about gravitics and vagaries of how the engine works. Now they haven't worked out the movement part, but they've worked out the time affecting part, and that's how they're able to time travel. But it's too hard to go any further than a week back in time, because things get too vague and the Earth gets too far away and all this sort of crap. And to actually keep position while they're transiting through time. And I've thought about this, like doing a big time leap. The Earth is going to be a long way from where you are at any given point in time if you're going backwards or forwards. But if you do tiny little leaps, you don't have to go very far each time to stay relative in time and space to where you want to be on the surface of the Earth. So I suspect that how this thing works is in tiny little leaps rather than one big jump. And so it's sort of going boing, 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 boing. And that would mean you wouldn't have to travel very far. And that's probably what the whole keeping it in that three-dimensional cube thing, that playing the needle, is to do with, is to keep on track while you're doing the tiny little hops. That logically to me would be how this thing worked. Now, it was very interesting that the ship, and I put that in inverted commas, the ship that they created for him to travel back in time in is roughly spherical. It's hexagonal plates, but it becomes roughly a sphere. And that makes sense if gravitics is used as part of the drive system as well, because gravity works as a pull equally from all sides. So the theory is that if you had a gravity drive of any description for a starship or a time ship in this case, the optimal shape would be a sphere because of the way gravity works. So, I mean, yeah, I love spaceship designs and how they're long and they've got engines on the back and they look all funky and cool and they go in like an arrow or what have you. But no, that's not how it would work. Ships would be spheres because that would be optimal for the spherical gravity drive to work on. In fact, a friend of the podcast, Doc Joe Sweeney, who is also an RPG writer, he wrote an RPG called, now my brain's gone blank. I hate it when that happens. Oh, God, I can't remember the name of the RPG. It's terrible. How can my brain go blank? I've written for this RPG. But basically, it's a sci-fi horror RPG. And the ships in it that travel between star systems do so using gravity drive, and they're spherical. And it fits with the theory of gravity drive. But they have to get outside into the Oort cloud before they can activate their drive, because if they do it within the star system, bad things happen because of the effects of all the gravity fields from the sun and the planets and things like that. So, I mean, whereas the ship in this is sort of following the theory of using gravity as a drive, you'd want a spherical ship for optimal sort of space saving and the effect of the gravity on the vessel that you're using to travel through space or time. Activating it on the surface of the Earth with all the other gravity fields nearby could be a little bit of a problem. So, plus column, minus column. But I thought that the fact that they'd use the spherical ship instead of doing something, this looks funky, with I watched Atlas just recently, and they had the standard sci-fi pretty ships with the engines on the back that jumped to light speed and zoomed around the galaxy with no consideration for fuel or distance. I mean, there's always shortcomings that there's a bit of hand waving and ignore the science, but I thought that at least they thought about the shape of the ship and they've done the right thing there. So that was the one thing I sort of wanted to bring up. Of course, looking at this show and saying, did it predict anything? Because it is, like a quarter of a century old now. There wasn't really anything in this that, we don't have time travel as a regular commodity that we could compare it to. So that part really didn't come through, and they didn't really show any sort of future tech gadgetry. So there sort of isn't anything there that we could latch onto as well. So I guess this is sort of the area that I could come up with, that and the half marks for at least considering the orbit of the Earth around the sun, but missing a bunch of other directions that things are moving. So yeah, the show gets some marks for science, but loses some. But it's more than a lot of other shows, put it that way. So I appreciate the effort. Did you want to cover any of the points that you put into the notes there, Robert?
It's Sci from. Maybe I should just talk about it. Because the thing is that I always, whenever we talk we talk about the subject, I always talk about this. And I don't know if I might be overstating.
Flogging a dead horse.
Overstating. I talking about the time travel in general. If this is something that would be like, if this would be reality, right? Because there's a big, huge if. Because of what I have heard, especially from physicists like forgot his name, Machu Kako. God, it's gonna bug me now. But yeah, he talks.
Michio Kaku.
Thank you so much.
Kaku.
I believe that he never went back to the past. He actually went to an alternative universe. He branched out. He actually moved into another plane. This is something that we discussed in our episode on Steins Gate, and I believe that anime explained it perfectly. It was just
world lines.
So I believe that if time travel would ever be possible, it would not technically be time travel as it is plane jumping. So you would be leaving your normal plane of existence, leaving that plane without you, going forward, and moving on to another plane of existence where you have another you that it might not necessarily be who you are, only because another topic that we talked in the past is how we are who we are because of the past experiences and our surroundings. And because it's a completely different plane of existence, that other you, it is very logical to be completely different. And that's why we have, movies like the one we covered, Everywhere All at Once, where you have the same person, and that person is something, it's a movie star in another, it's a cook in another, because the experiences were completely different. So I feel that for this show, for example, he just traveled to another plane of existence where he went to the past, and there's another him on there that is not necessarily him. But I just wanted to mention that as a thought experiment, because I had this conversation before, and I have heard from both sides where they said, well, the multiverse is just a plot armor to make time travel. But there is very factual scientific research done. Well, let me say this. It is theoretical physics.
Theoretical work.
It's theoretical work. The work from many, including Michio Kaku, that strongly believe on the theory of multiverses. So,
Robert, you bring up a very good point, which is in this story, is that every time he jumps back, he creates a new version of himself. So after his first jump, there's two of him in the timeline that he's currently existing in, because they said This guy is currently in the hospital. But now we've got him here. He's our guy who's now in the program. And he's also still in the hospital because we're not going to go see him because we've got him here. That's your temporal paradox.
Yeah, I mean, by the time that he resolved the problem and he should leave, there's no problem for he to leave.
Yeah, he's not gonna leave because in this time, in this universe, he was never in the program to begin with.
No, he prevented the very reason that made him travel in time.
Exactly.
But every time he jumps back, there's another copy of him there.
Exactly.
So he's basically skipping sideways
Exactly.
and collecting himself as he goes.
Yep. That's
This
what
is why.
Do you ever think about that one, Jamie?
Well, actually, I was thinking, as you were saying it, Olga must be pretty happy with that. But
and that explained Olga is a different person.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. But honestly, okay, so one thing I need to mention is that he's creating another copy of himself, but that one Parker is the only one with all of the memories.
Yeah.
So he's really not creating a new him. He's just jumping into those other timelines because he remembers who he is and he's had all of those experiences. Yeah. But what brings up a great point is what happens because in episode 1, he's in that hospital. So the episode's ends, he's still there.
Yes.
But what happens in 2 and 3 and 4? How do they explain that away? That's very good. On my rewatch, I'll come up with that answer if there is one.
You should drop in our Discord and let us know what you come up with because I'd be interested to find out.
I will. I know there's an episode, I don't remember where it is, where there's 2 of them, but that's because of a backstep issue. Talking about the science, I know that in one episode they somehow pick up a woman from like the 50s because of a solar flare, and it creates a black hole in the ship. And at the end of the episode, she has to go into the black hole, and it fixes it. So there's a lot of heavy science in this. But you're right; I don't remember them talking about how that happened. I'm going to find that answer.
How did they convince her to do that? They told her you won't feel anything when you get a spaghetti fight.
I don't know. Maybe they said, that Pooh went down that hole and go find him. I don't know. I don't know.
You wanted to be taller, right?
That's it. This will help you.
No. Okay. So that was the only thing that I want to mention about the science. I know I talked about it a lot, but I think I'm still very passionate about that theory. So,
see, if they wanted to avoid the paradoxes, they would have to go and get the guy and put him through the program without giving him a reason to go back in time and make him go back in time,
or just kill him. I mean, not to be, flippant, but all you do is find the Parker that's in this timeline and kill him because he's there now and he'll be the new Parker. I mean,
so basically in the original timeline, they think the project's failed. They think all these people who've disappeared trying to go back in time, they think they've failed, but they haven't failed. They've created a new timeline. And in the original timeline, it's like, this fucking thing never works.
Why do we keep doing this
every time?
I think I got the answer for Jamie's comment. There's a movie called The One, and the whole idea.
Oh yeah, that's a great with Jet Li.
Yeah, you killed your other versions. They can. Yeah,
makes it stronger. Well, the only plot hole on that is that there's a finite amount of them.
Yeah, that's not. I don't believe on that. But yeah, I mean, is it possible that he infinitely have gone from universe to universe? And no, the movie doesn't.
It should again.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I can't. I was trying to rationalize it, but I can't.
That's what a paradox is. You can't rationalize it.
Exactly. Awesome. So, anybody else want to add science, or should we call it a?
I think after that one, it's like, oh, my brain's broken.
I hope I didn't break anybody, but let us know in Discord.
Yep.
Is that a wrap?
I had one question for you, and this is for Ray. I mean, sorry, no, yeah, for Ray. What is up with a Diliad? Is that how you pronounce it? A Diliad in Australia, that they're on the 30 minutes off time zone.
Oh, right. So Northern Territory and South Australia are in a 30-minute time zone. Yeah, I always wondered about that. Like,
Yeah, you need to do something about that. I'm just saying. Get on that.
I have the power to to adjust that.
Well,
it's a big place and it's a bit weird. All right, just it's a paradox.
You're 7 days into the future, so you can let us know.
I know there's one in India that's like 15 minutes off too.
See, fix that one first. It's the worst one. Hey, the international date line goes like this, and then there's this kink in it.
Yeah, what's
kink is right
for reasons. Okay.
Wow.
That's all.
Yeah. These are all artificial constructs that humans have come up with to confuse us.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the woman in the red dress.
Oh, you find her, you're gonna have a gun to your forehead. You're screwed.
Mr. Anderson.
Hey, the AI in Atlas is called Smith. I was impressed.
Oh, Smith, Mr. Smith.
Cool.
No, just Smith. Just Smith. No honorifics. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Jamie, from the
it's my absolute pleasure.
Five from Fans podcast. I'm not saying that's on fast.
You got it though.
Break my mouth.
So excited to come on here. You guys are so much fun. I love this show, and I appreciate the chance to get it out there.
We're very glad you could join us. And thank you for suggesting an IP that I would never have found if it wasn't for your suggestion. So thanks very much for that.
Thank you.
You just want to remind the folks where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on all of the socials at Fave5 from Fans. On X. Out. You can do fave5fromfans.com. You can find me on TikTok, on YouTube, on any of those places, and just reach out and let me know. Let's talk.
So you'll need to have a favorite 5 sci-fi horror movies and invite Robert.
Oh my God, no.
I won't.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep. I've actually just did I just did a horror in space list that I've got somebody coming on the show about. So Rob, we'll have you come on and be a third.
There you go, Robert.
Event Horizon, Alien, that's it.
Yeah, he's got to find another 3. This will be interesting, won't it?
Yeah, that Alien Romulus looks pretty awesome. So maybe we'll make you watch that.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll have to tie him to the chair and put toothpicks to keep.
Very Clockwork Orange of you.
Exactly.
Yes. We need to cover that too. We're planning on it.
Yep.
Oh my God, the sun's come out. The day star, it burns us. Oh, dear. The craziness that you find on our podcast here, you can join in as well on our Discord. Pretty easy to find. We'll have a Discord link in the notes for this episode and all our other episodes since we've started up the Discord. And you can also just scan this link if you're watching this on YouTube. And I hope you are watching it on YouTube because we do all these little things that are visual and you can't catch them on the pod. I mean, pods are great. You need to listen to them when you're driving or doing other jobs, but it's also great to see what we're up to because we're a crazy bunch of mofos. But we have a lot of fun on our Discord. We talk about all sorts of scientific-y things. See, they've got me saying it now. It's terrible. It's like a plague. But I infected them with anime, so I just have to wear this.
It's all payback, man.
That's it.
It is. It is. Pay it forward. So catch us on our Discord. You can also catch us on our websites. The main one, which is sciencefictionremnant.com. That is where you will find our most recently released episode, and you can also scan through our back catalogue to find IPs that you're interested in. Recommend that you watch the show first, then listen to the pod, because we spoil the shit out of everything, like everything. So you can't discuss something without spoiling it. So watch it first, enjoy it, or if you're like Geo, you can be spoiled and then go and say, how does that all fit together? And then he goes and watches it.
There's a new article.
There is
a new article. I wrote a new article.
Nice.
Very good, actually.
So, and just to mention, there is, I believe, one that was written by the writer is Angel Martinez.
Yep.
Is a friend of Geo, and he wrote the article called Simulation Hypothesis. Are we the echo of the future civilization? And there's an article that I wrote that just hit this Saturday. It's called The Enigma of the Three-Body Problem, an easy guide. So if you're interested, those are very easy reads. They're 3 minutes at the most. So they're easy reads. Go ahead and read them and let us know what you think.
Awesome.
I did not know. I'll have to go and check that out. We also have another website. It's in its infancy. It's called thisissci-fi.net. It's basically going to eventually be a hub for all things sci-fi, lots of different IPs, lots of different discussions there. Hoping to bulk it out a bit more in the future. You could be part of that. Please let us know if you'd like to add content to that website. You can contact us through all our websites. Is there a Sci-Fi Remnant email, Robert?
Not really.
You get a better chance catching us on Discord for sure. You can direct message us
on
or Instagram
and socials. I mean, most people reach out to us on social.
Yeah. So catch us on the socials on X/Twitter. We have Facebook group. So you can find us around. We also have a Patreon. If anybody finds our content worthy of a small monthly donation, we'd really appreciate it. It's not free to put this all together, and Robert bears most of the cost of this. Good on you, Robert. And if you'd like to help out, we'd really appreciate it. And of course, we'd only have a very small Patreon at the moment, but if you wanted to join it, you could give us some hints as to what you'd like for special insider bonuses and privileges, and we will make that happen because that's the kind of guys we are. Now, if you find a regular monthly contribution a little bit too much, we have a Buy Me a Coffee. It's an option where you just drop a small amount of money, which would go towards funding the podcast, and also Geo needs caffeinating quite regularly, and he's also wanting to get a new microphone to get better sound quality, and we would be putting some of that money in the Buy Me a Coffee towards that. So if you would be willing to help us out, we'd really appreciate it. We have the hotline, which is getting a bit of use now, which is fantastic. We love getting those messages, the calls for thanks, the calls talking about a particular IP that people love. And of course, you can call up and abuse Geo if you like. He loves to get on the verbal fisticuffs. So if you want to drop us a line there, you can tell us anything you'd like about the show, about sci-fi, about anything to do with the IPs that we've been covering, and we'll happily play that and talk around it. So be involved. Give us a call. It's 1-305-563-6334. That's 1-305-563-6334. Our AI chatbot is standing by. But thank you all for joining us. We do appreciate your continued support. We love talking about science fiction. We love you listening to it and getting back to us and closing that loop, making this a sci-fi a reality and getting everybody talking about sci-fi, because, it's a vision of the future, and you can't have a future without a vision for it. It doesn't just happen. People have got to think this stuff up, and that's what the science fiction authors do. You going to say, Jeff?
Brought to you by Carl Jr.
Way to derail my closing, son of a bitch. Chaos living up to his name yet again. But yes, check out our back catalog. We have lots of interesting IPs there, some of which we are going to revisit shortly because there's new sections, updates, and new seasons of things. So we will be covering those as we get the opportunity. Feel free to reach out to us on our Discord and let us know if you'd like us to cover something else that we haven't gone through yet, much like Jamie did with 7 Days. So you too could be involved. And of course, if you are a subject matter expert on that IP and you would be willing to come and chat to us on it, you could be a guest like this man here. And also remember to check out Fave 5 from Fans.
Yes!
God, why did you make that title so hard? No one could say that 5 times fast. Kill you. But anyway, again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next week with another interesting IP in the realms of science fiction. Thanks very much, and bye for now.
See
Bye
you
for now.